Reverend Ron. I am Reverend Ron. Welcome to my ministries. Will you come along, help me make the change we need for prosperity? No noise from the left, no noise from the right. Propaganda meant to distract and lie. Criminals we elect, enslave your life through work to grave. Become part of the change for future need. Hypocrites, false prophets, and greeds are not the way in, 'cause we'll all get proven wrong. But we'll all carry on and light up the dawn. Will you come along? Do the God you fear know the stuff you hear from those who claim to speak for them? You know it's not true, so what do you do? Jesus said, give to the poor, love thy neighbor, trust in the Lord. What are you prepared to do? What sacrifice can you give for the future of mankind? This is Reverend Ron's ministry. I am Reverend Ron. I am Reverend Ron. I am Reverend Ron. I am Reverend Ron. I am.
Hello, everybody. I'm Reverend Ron. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 1. I'm so excited. A lot of things have happened since the last episode. And between the first and the 5th. And we talked about a lot of different things. We talked about why I started the platform, yes. And we also discussed the hashtag Force to Vote before it became trendy. But I got it off of Jimmy before it became trendy, and then it got real trendy. Not because of me, I only have a few listeners, but because I can spot talent, I guess. I don't know. Then Donald Trump was moving around generals like they were pawn pieces, and he was talking about cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Yes, the play on words. And then it was his holidays, and I just took some time off and did some business. Well, we'll get into it here in a minute or two. And then here we are, Season 2. So what are we going to talk about tonight? Well, let's see. The country is about ready to just implode, explode, I don't know, a little bit of both. And we got about a third of us that's not even aware it's going on. And I'm afraid they're not going to be aware until they start hearing bullets start flying through their ears. Then we got one side of an argument throwing monkey poop at the other side of the argument. And they're both yelling so loud at each other that, gosh, no one's even hearing what the other's saying. And then there's more people more interested into what some famous Hollywood starlet is wearing than how the criminals in Washington are just stealing right in front of you and taking away your future. I don't know. If you heard my song, I love my song, man. What are you prepared to do? So, let's talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit about how we started, where we're at, and where we want to go, and why we started. I'm going to get into the why before that. And then I got a surprise. I'm not sure what the surprise is, but it is at the end. And as a good patron of intrigue, but modern technology, you can go right there if you want to hear it. So anyway, I'm going to pause here. It's been about 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and they're going to probably put a commercial here. So hang on. Welcome back to the Reverend Ron Ministries podcast. Sorry for the pop. So, we have corporate media in one corner. So, this is how I understand it, and anybody who has a different opinion, hey, I welcome you to join me, and we'll debate it. I love to debate. I'm wrong all the time, by the way. I don't mind being wrong. Nothing wrong with being wrong. Just an opportunity to be right. So anyway, we got some folks in America mad about this, and we got some folks in America mad about that. And by the way, you know what? Before I go detailing, let's assume everybody's right, okay? Everybody's right. Let's not argue about who's wrong. We all know that everyone's wrong, right? We've been arguing about it for a long time. So if we know that everyone's wrong, let's just assume everybody's right. Let's look at it at that perspective, okay? We all have an interest in this pie called America. So everybody's right. Everyone has a point of view. So what does that mean? Okay, well, that means that Republicans, regardless how you feel about them, regardless what they say, and regardless if they're actually Republicans or not, they have a point of view of A. All right, they're right about their point of view. Are they right about everyone's point of view? Of course not. But it's when we start cheating to get our point of view across and to manipulate the system. Now, who's responsible for that? Well, of course, always the cheaters. And if you don't believe me, just ask the Republicans. That's what they keep on saying. And the Democrats. So, you know what? And the progressives and the people who say they're this but are actually that. Those who are selling you religion and beliefs for a good $35 a month. Everyone is selling everyone something. And the biggest influencer of it all is media. And if you're all smart, you just all stop listening to everything except the Reverend Ron Ministries podcast. But, you know, I don't think it's going to go down that way. So, let's just, you know, let's try. There's been a constant message about talking with people who don't agree with you. And I'm not sure where that came from because, actually, I think it's always existed. Just as rich people have power, the two go hand in hand. If poor people have power, you think the rich people would be rich? They would be poor. But you know what? There's a power that rich or poor don't. They share together. When they come together about an issue, they care about that deeply about. That's the only time they can focus together. Focus. Forget about the noise. Forget about the distractions. He said that about her, or, you know, ooh, this person nailed that person on Twitter. Stay focused, and you know what the focus is? The focus is we need to determine what we want for our children and for ourselves. And I'm not talking about leaving the planet Earth in a green shape, or if there is or isn't a God, you know? Once again, everyone's right. I'm just talking about having just a bit of empathy. Just a little bit for your fellow man. And we used to say it back in the day, you know, just take a couple steps in his shoes, man. Sure you heard that before. So what does that all mean? I don't know. I mean, shit's going crazy real fast, you know, so I personally got involved. I mean, I think I said this after Bernie crashed on us, man. It was a crash and burn, dude. I was looking for somewhere to hang out, and I was checking out the Green Party for a while, and so I just started looking for more progressive type of parties, people who believe in healthcare as a human right. I mean, I laugh. I was in England for 2 years when I was a kid in the Air Force, and I had socialized medicine in the Air Force, and I had socialized medicine while I was in England, which was double coverage, if you will, but nonetheless. And I don't know, for some reason I had to go to their hospital. And you know what? It was like, go in, go out. There was no lines. I don't know. I keep laughing about these stories that people believe. These stories that people believe because the health industry just doesn't want to go that way. And I just wonder how they can understand what the motive is. I don't know. It just seems pretty obvious. But, you know, I don't know. I don't live in their shoes. I've kind of been in their shoes a little. Like David Goliath size, but I don't know. That's another 7 minutes of me just jabbering on about nothing. So we'll take a pause. When we get back, we're going to jabber some more. Thank you for listening to the Reverend Ron Ministries podcast. We'll talk to you when we come right back. Welcome back to the Reverend Ron Ministries podcast. So where do we leave off? Everyone's mad, but everyone's right. So everyone's right. So that way we don't have to sit there and argue. And now, what next? Well, we have to figure out what's important. And I'm not talking about our social issues. There's going to be X amount of us that are just going not to fit into the mold. But it's the mold is in a democracy is how things are determined, and then the outer layer, part of that mold, they exist. They're not outer, but their opinions, and they don't normally get their way. I mean, it is a democracy. So we gotta identify the issues. So I said so like 18 times. I created this platform. Really, it has nothing to do with making money. I'm not going to ask for any money. If you want to give me some, I'm not going to say no to money, but it's not why I did it. It is a ministry to me, but it's also an LLC, and the reason I made it into an LLC instead of a nonprofit is because I can talk about whatever I want, number one. And number two, I don't believe churches, religions deserve a tax-exempt thing, and I'm going to lead by example. There are some really great nonprofits out there that do deserve their tax breaks, but the ones that go around praising God do not. And I don't care. Treat all the religions equally and start taxing them all. That way you're not singling anyone out, and you're also forgetting you've been taxing the atheists without any problem at all. So, my argument would be you've been just discriminating against atheists, and they deserve a tax break. Yeah, I don't know who they would be too. Watch how many atheists are going to be coming out of the woodwork. And I'm not going to go there. So, I also believe education is, if we don't allow our citizens to keep up with progress, then we will be literally that broken down city, town, country that everyone says we shouldn't be. And why is everyone afraid of education? I'm not sure I get that one. So if you can come on and explain that one to me, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to discuss it reasonably. And education's good. I love learning something new every day. Sometimes I learn too much and then my head hurts. But you know what? That's okay. I believe in accountability. That's right. We're going over the... So, accountability. So what is accountability? What is accountability? Well, I don't know. Let's see. There's a shitload of countries out there that we call Western countries. France, United Kingdom, Cuba. I mean, come on, Cuba, Mexico. They all have socialized medicine. Somehow or another, they can figure out enough wisdom down there. England, Germany, Europe, Russia, China. Some of the worst places in the world we call enemies of human rights. At least they provide health care to their citizens. So how do you square that circle, whoever argues against universal health care? Why can't we have nice things in America? Because people are greedy and they make money, and what we do is we uneducate our folks. That's why education is important. The more educated you are, the less likely you're able to fall for bullshit and con men and people feeding you a whole bunch of well, I'll stick with the bullshit. So, I mean, there's studies out there that says we'll save $10 trillion over a decade. So let's consider our motives. Universal health care saves $10 trillion according to many, many, many studies. Google it. Who has a motive to lie to us? Well, when you watch television, you see nothing but boner pills, people trying to give you a hard-ass an erection, or trying to sell you something. Ask your doctor, for they can gouge you into pills that we can't even negotiate the price on Medicare for. These same places, through one way or another, have influence or control media outlets who make money off the advertising, who do not want to cross these people because it's a business model versus a news model. The people feeding you the bullshit are multimillionaire announcers that don't want to lose their houses and their investments and have a family to feed. And they're willing to, back in World War II, we used to call her Tokyo Rose. So every time you see one of these people feeding you a line of crap, and their whole show is about opinions. One way or another, they're getting paid to tell you this. And they're getting paid through corporate media one way or another. So that's the propaganda side, to convince the public that it's in their best interest that we don't have a universal health care, even though it would be more efficient, more utilized, more controllable, more humane. And then these same corporations, the healthcare the whole industry, I mean, they're all involved, just like with whatever else, They go in and they so-called lobby. Let's lobby our representatives, which is a fancy word for, I'm going to give you money for your campaign. So first, as I said before, we have to identify the problem. We have to talk about it. Maybe I'm totally off rocker here. Maybe you have some information that will show me and convince me otherwise. But I know this much, man. We're not going to get any further unless we start talking about it. So, let's start talking about it. That's everything everyone else gets in all the other countries that everyone says are inferior to the United States. Doesn't sound inferior to me. As a matter of fact, about 60-some-odd% of Americans think so too. Here's the funny thing, 90-some% of Democrats want a universal health care system, right? Some polls out there, Google it. Don't quote me on it. I'm just a guy with a microphone talking. But, yet we don't have it. Explain that one. And the Democrats, this ain't the first time they've been in total control of all the branches and houses and what have you of government at the federal level. So some of the states are trying to take it upon themselves, like they're doing the marijuana laws. Why marijuana is still in stage 1? I don't know. Somebody's making money on it. You can take that to the bank. So I'm just drawing this picture of none of this makes sense, right? And if you listen, you get a headache. And I don't blame you, so I'm going to stop right there. But there's a lot more, I'm telling you. So I think the people have, I think they deserve some in business world, return on investment, and the people of the United States have been investing in rich people for the last 40 years. And in the business model, I think it's time to get a return on our investment. And maybe that's what they've been doing all along. They want to be on the next verge of the next turnover, and who's going to buy all this stuff to do it? It's going to be the rich people who are going to just jack up their wealth like crazy, right? So they're going to drop, they're going to they're going to drain the last drop of oil out of the earth, and they don't care if you need to take a straw and stick it up in outer space to get some form of air. I don't know. Is it true? Is it false? Is it make-believe? It should be a movie. I don't know. But I know this. I know some people, the government no longer is, apparently. I know. I just hear too many people suffering. You got a percentage that just don't care. You got a percentage that are happy, and they're fine. Those are the ones you see driving around in nice cars and stuff. But for every one of them, there's 5 people behind them working 2-3 jobs on the street. That's a normal place for people now, man. Check it out. But think about it. You ever did a shot of alcohol? It keeps you warm. Dude, they're freezing out there, man. They do a shot because it keeps them warm. And a little painkiller, too, at the time. So, anyway, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about the platform. And then I want to share my surprise. Thank you for listening to the Reverend Ron Ministries podcast. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Reverend Ron Ministries podcast. So I want to thank you so much for listening to our first episode of our second season. So I shared it on my pilot, or maybe it was the first episode, I don't know. When I get my website up, I'll archive all that stuff and it'll be on the website. I'm still having issues trying to do that. I'm trying to learn all this stuff. So on the first episode, I was saying that I'm just a guy with a mic. I picked up some old equipment around my house, a computer that's a couple years old, a microphone that I bought at a store during their Black Fridays. They were $50 a piece, and I bought 8 of them. And, you know, they're good. I mean, here they are. Actually, no, this one I got in a storage unit I bought. And so on and so forth, you know. And I spent some money documents and incorporating and, you know, just stuff like that. And I had my taxes done today, and I spent $4,000 last year on the business. That didn't really include I didn't throw in the equipment because, you know, it's like no value other than for me, you know. But sometimes you get $50 for something. And I don't want to go through that. So we put on episode 2, 3, and 4, and 5, like I said prior. And started getting better, and I took the holidays off in January off. Kept on wanting to get back in, but there was a couple of things I needed to work out document-wise. You know what? You always got to have something. You always got to get something signed by somebody. And here we are. We started today, and and looking forward to growing. I don't have any monetization going on, and I'm not even really sure what that is. It's just me and a guy and a microphone. You're going to hear that a lot. Just me, a guy with a microphone. I'm learning how to do website, which is interesting because, to be honest, you go and look it up on a YouTube video, and there's a lot of folks telling you how to do stuff, and I really do think with a little bit of imagination you can figure out the rest, that they're not, everyone's always trying to sell you something. But I guess they get clicks, right? But here's the thing, it's a skill you can learn on YouTube. And not that that's the only thing you can do, but imagine, well, I don't know, do whatever you want. I find it interesting. And then I'm recording, so I'm running recording software and mixing, and you know what, I actually enjoy that stuff, so I can understand why some people don't. And everyone has their own thing. But, and I'm getting sidetracked here. You ever watch the guys on YouTube, like, lathing a piece of wood? I don't know what you call it, but they take a piece of wood and they put it in a lathe and they start making bowls out of it. It's so entertaining. And then they start doing all kinds of combinations and put resin and steel wool, and just, it's a mess, but it's interesting. So we're going to go forward, and I'm going to use this platform. It's not, if I make a couple bucks, that's fine. I can afford it without making any money. And my purpose is to push generically a progressive agenda. And hopefully orchestrate a revolution to get people united, and not only people, but we have so many segregated groups out there. We got mothers who hate fathers but love children, but not their children's father's uncle, We need to get them all in the same room and start uniting as forces, as start thinking this more as battle. And I'm not advocating violence. So if you're thinking I'm advocating violence, just stop it. But what I am thinking is you got to think of it as your battle. We the people, we have the advantage, especially today. I'm not using the YouTube, and I don't know how they chronicle my website, and I'm on a podcast who loves to have me here, and I'll be going live, so my membership will only be hindered by your participation, and I'm sure they can shut me up, but I don't know how all that works. So the surprise I want to share with you, and I'm not sure it's going to be after this episode or maybe one or two. I still got to do some learning on something. But soon I will be going live, and I'm going to probably do it at least once a week. But you know what? If things go well, I wouldn't have a problem doing a Monday through Friday show or something, regularly timed and all that other kind of neat stuff. I can have up to 8 people at a time talking to me on a mobile phone. I guess there's a chat like you see on YouTube, but it's in the podcast environment. There's a chat room. I'm learning more about it, but I've seen similar things on YouTube, so I can only imagine it's actually better because you're not carrying that bandwidth of a video. So I don't know what all that means, but I'm starting to learn the words. So, and I swear to God, I'm starting to learn how to put the words together just from listening to all these videos. So I only know about 50% of it. But, the point is I'm learning better. So with that being said, I appreciate a little bit over 30 minutes of your time. And we're going to say goodnight. Thank you for being our guest on our first episode back this season. And we're going to give you Reverend Ron
for prosperity. No noise from the left, no noise from the right. Propaganda meant to distract and lie. Criminals we elect enslave your life through work to grave. Become part of the change for future need. Hypocrites, false prophets, and greeds are not the way in, 'cause we'll all get proven wrong. But we'll all carry on and light up the dawn. Will you come along? Do the God you fear know the stuff you hear from those who claim to speak for them? You know it's not true, so what do you do? Jesus said, give to the poor, love thy neighbor, trust in the Lord. What are you prepared to do? What sacrifice can you give for the future of mankind? This is Reverend Ron Ministries. I am Reverend Ron. I am Reverend Ron. I am Reverend Ron.